Now, millions of TV viewers across Europe tuned in to watch this year's Eurovision Song Contest, in which artists from different countries compete for votes. The winner certainly stood out from the crowd. Singing the song Rise Like a Phoenix was a glamorous bearded lady from Austria, Conchita Wurst. Conchita is the drag persona of 25-year-old Tom Neuwirth. Although condemned by some social conservatives, Conchita has become an icon for the gay community. In an interview for the BBC's 100 Women season, she told Lucy Ash about growing up in rural Austria.
Till 12, 13, everything was just great. You know, living like in a fairy tale, you know, in the mountains, fresh air, grass everywhere, cows, blah, you know, really, really like in a book. But I always have been slightly different to the other kids. That doesn't matter when you're like about 6 to 12, because you don't really have words for this kind of situation. And once kids start to become teenagers, they have to struggle with themselves anyway, and they get mean. So once
they can be very spiteful, can't they?
Exactly. And you know, once they had a name for this little boy dressing up as a girl, it got tough for me. I realized back then that I'm gay, and I had to struggle myself with this situation, because the society told me that's not right.
Because you had been wearing skirts sometimes to kindergarten, is that right?
I did. You know, because I was so annoying. And my grandmother especially, she was like, well, just give him the skirt and we can move on. You know, so they didn't really cared about what I'm wearing. And for me, it was the most natural thing in the world.
And then some children at school were making you feel uncomfortable with sort of spiteful comments and name-calling. Yeah. How did you cope with that?
Going to school was for me a stressful situation from the beginning till I arrived at home. For example, I would have never ever used the toilet during the breaks because everybody was in the hallway. They not even talk about you, but you hear a giggle and you think they are laughing about you. You know what I mean?
You feel a bit paranoid.
Exactly, totally. And that's why I just used the toilet during the class time, and teachers hated me for that, obviously.
That's quite sad.
Yeah.
When did you feel that you wanted to become a singer? And was music a sort of way of escaping all of this?
That's actually an interesting point, because on the one side I was very shy and I really wanted not to be recognized by anyone. But when it was about putting a show together on special occasions, I was the first in line. I always wanted to sing. I always wanted to entertain people. And
did your family encourage you?
Yeah, totally. They loved it. They were supporting me all the way.
And in 2007, as Tom Neuwirth.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's good.
In 2007, as Tom Neuwirth, you came second in an Austrian TV talent show called Starmania.
Starmania, exactly.
And you were just 18 at the time.
Yeah.
What was the impact of appearing in that show and doing so well in it? How did it change your life?
Well, back then it changed so many things, especially very basic thing for what I do now. I realized back then that I need to protect my private life. I need to have the chance to walk the street without being asked of taking a picture or getting into a conversation, because I really embrace my free time, you know, and I want to be with my friends and my family, and I need them to have my full attention. And back then in 2007, I just realized that I got annoyed, you know, and really like arrogant in some kind of way. And I thought, well, that's not the way I am. I'm not an arrogant person. And I realized that this border is so strong for me that I don't want anybody come into this security place of private life. You're just allowed if I invite you, you know? So that was one point why I've chosen to be a bearded lady on stage.
That was what motivated you to adopt this persona of Conchita Wurst?
Not just because of that, but it's one reason. There are many different things, and of course it's like I'm aware of the fact that people start to talk once they see a bearded lady walking by. And I decided to be a drag queen with a beard. I'm doing drag since I'm 14, but at 14, of course, till the age of 20, it was just for special events and not in a regular way. And then I started to host a burlesque show in the Vienna underground scene. And that's when I started to let the beard grow and just, you know, being the bearded lady. And I got questions from my friends, well, why don't you shave? Maybe it would be easier for you. And then I said, well, you don't get it. I don't want that to be easy. I want that to be me. And the fact that people would talk about me is, of course, in a commercial way good for an artist. But also, on the other hand, I just totally know, and I have to believe in that. People go home and they will tell, I don't know, their wife, their husband, whatever, their children, guess who I saw today? A lady with a beard. And in the best way, there are different opinions about that.
And it sparks debate.
Yeah, exactly. And
so
I think
that's much more interesting than just being in a boy band like you were before.
Yeah, and the boy band was also a thing. It was a good lesson for me, because I did that back then. I thought, well, better a record contract being part of a boy band than having no record deal. And I learned back then that you just can't fool your audience if you don't love what you do. I think if you don't love what you do, you destroy yourself.
So the band, what was it called?
Jetzt anders. To translate, it's now different. What a nice name, isn't it?
Now for something different kind of idea.
Yeah.
But that band didn't do very well.
No, it just this band just lasted 8 months. So I always said it would be better if somebody carried a child during that time. It would be more useful for the world.
But you said it was useful in a way, in terms of a life lesson.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's just a joke I'm always making out of it. But yeah, it is. And I'm thankful for this time, definitely. After the boy band, I asked myself, well, what would you do now? And I didn't want to have in the story of my life, well, I quit school, you know.
Dropped out.
Yeah. So I'm not a quitter. And then I went back and finished fashion school, and I went on doing what I loved, you know.
And tell me about the name, Conchita Wurst, because it seems quite paradoxical. Conchita's this lovely, sort of very sensual, sexy name, and Wurst means sausage.
It does, yeah. But also the term Wurst is used in German for I don't care. If you want to say I don't care, you know, it's not important. This is what I wanted to say.
And you embraced this character very wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that your fans did? Were you surprised by your popularity?
I totally knew if I gain fans, they will love me deeply. Because I think you don't say, bearded lady, well, I don't care. You have an opinion.
You're not indifferent.
Yeah. And I've never thought of or dream of winning something like the Eurovision Song Contest. And I couldn't believe it in the very situation, because I'm not used to winning. I've never won in my whole life. Well, of course you win experience, but I've never won like a competition or something that I could say I won. So this was just overwhelming to me, and I don't take that for granted, because I know the other way around. I know we all got stuff to do, and we all have our bills to pay, so I think every artist should be very, very thankful about their fans. You know.
Were you nervous performing at the Eurovision Song Contest? Because you look so serene in the videos that I've seen.
Well, you have 2 weeks of rehearsal before. So at the final shows, you better be used to that stage. Still, it's something different if the camera light is on and you know you're on TV right now. And I was beyond nervous and beyond emotional. At the semi-final, I sang the song, they turned off the light, and I bursted into tears. But you're my flame. And that was just overwhelming, because I reached a goal. Such a big one, you know. As I said, you achieve so many things in life, but this was on my bucket list. Be on Eurovision. Well, we did it, you know.
And voted the best.
Yeah, that's even more ridiculous in my head, because I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there and 12 points came in, and I was like, no, what? I'm the bearded lady, you know. I'm from Austria. We don't win Eurovision. So that was just, yeah.
And at the same time, after that win, you had to deal with some quite vicious criticism, especially from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
You were accused of spiritual decay. You were told that you were the pervert from Austria.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that?
Oh, in a very unpolite way. I don't care. And I totally know this is a security feature I have in my system, because I'm a very sensitive person. But I figured out, I asked myself, why is this not affecting me? Why? Because I'm sorry so easily, you know, when it comes to my friends, and they're like, oh, I didn't want you to see that movie. Now, I'm sorry, I suggested it. You know, something like that. And I figured out that you just can hurt me if I love you. So I really don't pay attention to this people. And I have to say that some of these politicians, especially, they honored me by thinking so much about me and thinking that I'm so powerful that I could change a whole nation's mind.
And cause floods, even.
Yeah, well, you know.
You're accused of causing flooding, I think. But you had a very good riposte, I think, to an Armenian singer who said, why doesn't he decide, is he a man or is he a woman?
I don't really remember what I said word by word, but many people ask me if they should say he or she or whatever. I always say what you see is what you get. We drag artists, we really put so much effort on our characters. The easiest way to show respect is to call us the name we gave ourselves, you know. So it feels kind of strange if somebody would say Tom to me when I'm in full drag. And on the other hand, it seems kind of weird when somebody says Conchita to me when it's Tom.
When you're just at home chilling out watching television or something.
Well, my friends do that to tease me if I'm a little diva-ish. They're like, Conchita's not here, so cool down, you know, something like that. I always call it the magic of the wig, because I don't have another explanation for that.
So you really do feel you are two separate people?
Yeah, you know, they're blending in, of course. But there are a few things, and they are completely different. My friends say I'm more elegant when I'm Conchita. Of course, because Tom is eating with two hands pizza, you know. Conchita wouldn't do that.
Conchita's with a knife and fork.
Yeah, with the knife and, you know, just a bit. I don't know, but I don't do that on purpose. It just comes naturally to me.
You have also, in some ways, inspired lesbians and gays around the world, especially in places where they're persecuted, haven't you? What does that mean to you?
Well, that's just beyond things I could ever imagine. When it comes to that, I don't really like to be called a role model, because people tend to do that, and I'm not perfect. I just do what I need to do. But it's just overwhelming to me that people actually get their benefit out of what I do. They got inspired or stronger, and this is just the greatest gift you could ever achieve as an artist. And as I said, I'm not used to winning, and then I'm not used to people actually getting inspired by what I do. So this is still something I truly can't believe. If people come to me and say, like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, and I'm like, seriously, I don't get it, because I always say, I'm not Madonna, cool down. It's just me. I just have a different job than you, but I'm also a human being.
The Austrian bearded lady Conchita Wurst was speaking to Lucy Ash as part of the BBC's 100 Women season. Well, time now